I was live and it cut me off. I don't know why it cut me off, but I was live. But I'm back. Let me go through. Help me study. Let's get it. Let's get to the bag. All right. Anyways, um, some would say that intangible measurements don't have a dollar value, that they're soft skills. They don't really matter. They're okay, but it's not going to change the way or change how people really perform. It's not going to really have an impact if someone's not mad. They need to work, so they'll still come to work. But people forget, people come to work, but they're not showing up as their full self. So yes, it does have an impact because it is impacting the bottom line. And your job as a DEI advocate and HR professional is to link those intangible measurements, is to showcase those intangible measurements as monetary, as valuable. What was the word I was gonna say? It was a word that I was gonna say. I can't even remember what it was. Oh well. Your goal is to okay, your goal is to show that intangible measures that are based on emotions are linked to the bottom line of a business, because how we feel determines the monetary value, because emotions determine the monetary value. Because when an employee is satisfied, you will not have absenteeism, you will not have turnovers, you will not have conflicts, you will have enhanced productivity, you will not have complaints, you will not have any charges or settlements or accidents or increases in medical costs. As we know, when an individual is stressed or their well-being is not good, you're more likely to have increases in medical costs and due to increases in health-related issues. So that is the key. You linking intangible measurements to tangible measurements to show the dollar value and actual. Oh, I remember what I was going to say at the beginning. So at the beginning, I will say your job is to take on the role as a researcher and evaluator and leverage new skills. Let me go back. And okay, we stopped on 18. I'm gonna go back. Let me exit out. I knew it was something I was gonna say. So for this one, we'll put notes. The goal is to show you that you already are a researcher that is utilizing business intelligence and data science skills to be a strategic partner. Okay, your goal, okay, that's what I was wanting to say. Your goal is to show that you are a researcher that is utilizing your goal. And I'm gonna say overall, I don't like that. Overall, my goal is to ensure that my goal is to show show that you already have the skills to be a strategic partner that utilizes business intelligence and data science skills to be a strategic partner. Yeah. Do you guys use Grammarly? I can't stand Grammarly. I can't stand it. And I'm using Google, and you see it won't even let me continue typing. It's so annoying. Hello? Intelligence. See, I'm trying to be all proper, and it won't let me be proper. There you go. Trying to, hello. There we go. Thank you. To be a strategic partner, just need a system and plan to showcase and tell the story of the changes you are creating in the workplace. Yeah, I like that. Okay, and we stopped on 18, so we'll go back to 18. See, I do this every time I speak. It's not the same. And that's the dope thing about it, because as a speaker, you have to adjust for any audience that you're speaking to. And with this one, it's gonna be people of different levels. So I don't like speaking in a lot of jargon, even though I'm a doctor and got my PhD. I don't speak that way, and I want to speak so that people understand me and know what I'm talking about and not get lost in the sauce because something is so uptight and hard to understand, and I want to be understood by everyone. I think that's important. Hi, everyone that's there. I can't read. Let me get closer. What? You're weird. I don't know what you're talking about. Anyways, so I'm gonna go back to where I was. I stopped on slide 18. It seems like I always get to slide 18, and it's like right when I get around there, my brain starts back up. But I was live earlier, but for some reason it cut off, and so I just came back on, probably because of what I said and what I'm talking about, right? But it is what it is. Let's get it. Slide 18. Where are we at? That's 3. So go to 18. The goal is to try to get through this whole thing without stopping. But that hasn't happened yet. And, you know, like when I'm standing and presenting, I'm going to be stumbling and all that. So I don't care if I'm stumbling over my words. So if you're shy about speaking in person or standing up in front of everyone and you're like, blah, 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 so what? Let that happen. Nobody cares. Stumble over your words. It's all good. Don't feel like you're making a mistake because you're stumbling over your words. Never feel like you need to be perfect, because nothing's perfect. Because I'm stumbling over my words, and when I'm in front of people, I'm going to stumble over my words. And see, I said stumble, whatever that means. Stumble over my words. It is okay to blah, 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 blah. Just shake it off and go on through the presentation. As long as you get the words out, people don't care. All right, let me get it. Okay. Remember, your goal is to justify the needs and outcomes of the DEI. Your goal is to justify the needs and outcomes of the DEI initiative through evaluation by leveraging data and analytics. So you can only do this if you have a strong data collection method. That's the only way this will happen. It has to be effective, and only then can you link the initiatives to performance and monetary values. If you don't have a strong data collection method and a strong plan, actually, but a strong data collection method to collect the actual data that you need to make sure it's measuring every aspect of change, then only then can you link the initiative, which for this example is psychological safety, to actual performance, how people are performing, and then linking how people are performing to the business's bottom line, linking it to showcase monetary values, to showcase the value and worth of the initiative, and determining whether it's impactful and a return on investment. So if it's not valuable and worthy, it's not making money. It's not resulting in actual change, and it's just not having a positive impact overall. It's a waste. It's unworthy, and it needs to be moved. So the only way you can do that is by measuring tangible and intangible measurements or benefits. Now, we all know tangible measures focus on the bottom line. They focus on money. They can be measured. They're all numbers. They're number factored. They're heavy weighted. You can see them even. You know what it is. That's more focused on turnover, absenteeism, complaints, productivity, charges even, and settlements that the business has to have, accidents, medical costs. All of those things can be weighted. Now, when we're focusing on intangible benefits, most people call those soft skills. Most people say that they don't matter. Most people say they're just emotions. They mean nothing. But that's not necessarily true, because emotions determine how we feel, and how we feel is how we are motivated. And if we are motivated in one way, that's going to determine if we're going to like something or not like something, or invest in something or not invest in something. And as we know within the workplace, when people are unmotivated, they're unengaged. And if they're unengaged, then that means that you're going to have, or if they're unengaged, or if they're having dissatisfaction and unsatisfied, or their well-being is down in any type of way, or anything that's having a negative influence on them, that's going to result in tangible outcomes. So that means you're going to have, if someone's dealing with well-being issues, as with psychological safety, for this session, it's focused on psychological safety. So it's impacting well-being. It's impacting how people are feeling in the workspace. They're feeling down and out. That means that you're going to have high turnover. You're going to have high absentee rates. You're going to have conflicts with people fighting because you're not feeling well. People don't like it there. They don't want to be there. They're unhappy. They're disgruntled. You're going to be dealing with conflicts and productivity. So that means that tangible measurements are not necessarily soft. They're the actual dollar value. They're what contributes to the dollar value. They're what the money is. Emotions determine money. Emotions determine value overall. So that's your job. Your job is to link intangible measurements to tangible outcomes. And for example, as I just gave, turnover reduction can, as we know, contributes to, okay, so when I'm going into that, I can just go to this. So as I did all that talking, I could have changed the slide. So I'll do that. Okay. And another great example to explain how to do that is, say that your business has implemented a well-being investment. Remember, we're implementing a psychological safety initiative. So let's say that we have an outcome of 40% improvement in employee well-being, which has contributed to a 15% reduction in turnover. And for each employee, that's $10,000 saved for the business. In total, totaling $150,000 savings, total savings for the actual improvement for the business. By using that type of jargon and type of language, the numbers factor, you want to speak like a business intelligence individual, a strategic partner. You want to use the voice of monetary aspects You want to use the voice of financial terms when you are speaking about your initiatives. You want to know those numbers and go in. This is why it's important to align with, if any department that you do align with, make sure you're aligning with finance and accounting, because they're the key to understanding the true value of everything that's going on in the business. And they already have an actual account and record of when changes are occurring within the business. So that's one of the easiest and one of the best tips I can give you for the day. You're going to focus on aligning with those that know the dollar value of the business, that have that information. Because when you're assigning, but as I was saying, as you're assigning a monetary value to intangible improvements, like employee, it helps to link it to the business's bottom line. Now, we've understood that now we can give monetary values to intangible assets, correct? And how we can go about getting those, linking that to the tangible. Linking intangibles to tangibles to determine the impact of an implemented solution. But how are we going to determine the actual cost savings or profits for each dollar spent? That's where you want to show that there was an actual return on investment for the business. And let's say you've implemented a solution let's say you implemented a psychological safety training and it's been in session and being utilized for the past 5 years. How do you know that that solution is valuable? How do you know that that solution is actually resulting in change? You don't. You don't, because you're not measuring the actual annual net benefit after accounting for ongoing costs. So you have all this ongoing costs, but what's the net benefit of that? So the only way you're going to be able to do that and bring true value and understanding to why an initiative is worthy is by calculating the return on investment. Now, you have the traditional method that looks at the total benefits subtracted by the total cost investment divided by the total cost investment, right? But for the D2L method, D2L is actually a company that creates learning management software. They came up with this approach because, trainings can be ongoing and there's not really anything out there that really helps to justify the need. You can get the basic information, but this one is really, really cool. They came out with it not that long, not about 5 years ago, I say a couple years ago, and I really like this approach, and it really, really, really helps for giving a true understanding of continuous investments. And you can also use it to predict as well, as we'll be focusing on when we go through, because we're focused on 3 months and a 12-year implementation prediction. So for that one, you're going to look at the annual program benefits subtracted by the annual ongoing program costs divided by the one-time setup costs. Now, for all of this annual stuff, I just created a conservative approach and just multiplied by 4 for the basic 3-month information. I'll show you how I did that, and it's actually really cool because then you can predict outcomes, which will help you to gain buy-in. Now, as you can see, and as I've said, the goal is for you to align with different departments. That's going to be the key to getting the understanding and the dollar value of turnover costs and all of those other metrics. Because, as I said, your accounting and finance department is going to be the key, as long as your strategic decision makers, because they keep track, all your program managers and people like that, and other individuals that are dealing with HR analytics. If you're not that person, someone in your department may be that person. Some businesses don't have HR analytics personnel, so then you would focus on more finance or other strategic makers or someone like that, or even aligning with individuals that you've previously had implement programs within your business. They should have a track record of when things occurred and maybe changed, hopefully, so that you could go back and recreate and get and generate a post-implementation value with this. And you can utilize these same steps to do it after you've implemented as well. That's the beauty of evaluation. You can always go back and determine the value of something or predict the value of something. But as you can see, these are basic metrics right here. This is what we're normally used to saying when we implement DEI programs. We're always talking about, oh, there was a 25% improvement. Yeah, you'll have a dollar value if you're talking about turnover costs, of course, because that's a measurable benefit. But when you're looking at, or you'll see it's like this, and it's not giving an actual story. Your job is to be a business intelligence and data science. You're going to utilize business intelligence and data science. All that is grabbing the data that we've collected, right? Analyzing it, synthesizing it, and then telling a story. That's all we're doing. We're telling a story. You have to help people to understand by having the art of storytelling, and that means the art of showcasing what has occurred through numbers. And that will help to showcase the value of a program, gain buy-in for not only this program, but future programs, and also help to showcase, if you're a consultant, the programs that you have implemented and how they were valuable. Now, the way to do that is to first start through your evaluation plan is to have a strong data collection plan. As I said earlier, you need to have a strong data collection plan. As I mentioned earlier when speaking about SMART goals, you want to utilize all of these, you want to utilize a SMART objective, right? That's going to tell you what you're trying to achieve. That SMART objective is going to tell you it's measurables, right? See, it's SMART, it's a specific, it's measurable, it's achievable, it's relevant, and it's time bound. This is your most important focus of your evaluation process. That is going to be the key to determining how well your whole data collection plan is going to be the key to determining how effective your implementation process is. Because this is going to tell you what you're measuring, how you're measuring, who you're measuring, when you're measuring, who you're reporting to, who's responsible for that measurement, and how it is linked to the return on investment, how it is linked to the business, how it is linked to the business's bottom line. As you can see in phase 1, I just focused on achieving 85% positive feedback from participants. And how we're going to do that? We're going to look at employee satisfaction scores. And how we're going to get these scores? We're going to conduct a post-training survey and an interview. And who are we interviewing? We're going to interview employees who are attending the training. And when are we going to do this? We're going to do this immediately post-training. And who's going to be responsible for that? It's going to be the training coordinator. And how is all of this going to be linked to the business's bottom line? Well, it's going to be linked based on employee satisfaction, which is going to focus on engagement, right? That's how we're going to know. And in phase 2 of learning, we're going to look at 80% of participants scoring at least, the goal is for 80% of participants to score at least 80% on the knowledge assessment. Now, how are we going to do that? You're going to do that through a knowledge retention assessment score. So how are we measuring that? We're going to do that through a multiple choice or open-ended test, role-playing, interviews, and observations. So this is a big project, right? This is a really, really big project, but it's showcasing it's showcasing how you're going to go about it. Remember, you want to try to gather as much information as possible because it has to be in depth so that you have a true understanding of all the intangible benefits, right? The soft skills, the emotions. The emotions are going to help to understand why a performance is driving the way it is. And the emotions will determine the overall health of the business. And furthermore, as you go through, you'll see. Now, when you conduct your data collection plan, it can be designed however you want. This is just an example. And also, I have a link to this as well. There's a link to this chart also in the handout that was in the QR code. I'll show the QR code as well for those that didn't get it. Did it? I know we had some people that just came in. Do you need the QR code? Okay, that's just in case. Okay, and you can design it anyway, but long as you are utilizing the SMART goal method. But as you can see, and apply in the application phase, evaluation is conducted in so many ways. Some people conduct it after 30 days, and then they're done. Some professionals conduct it after 60 days, and they're done. Some for 90 days, and they're done. That's pretty much the standard method of conducting evaluation. Now, overall, based on scholarly research and based on research conducted by different firms, on average, after 3 months, no one's going back and looking. They may look after a year, maybe look after 3 months, and then maybe look a year after. And then after that, they're kind of done with it. They've forgotten about it. They're still using the program, but they never went back and saw if that program is effective. So you want to conduct from 3, 6, 12, and 18 months. Okay. Now that you have a strong data collection method, you're going to need a method to tracking performance. You need to know how to track the performance. So in order to have an effective method to track the performance, you've got to make sure you have an understanding of what you're tracking, right? So this is a great example of how you can go about tracking performance. As you can see, it's very similar to the other table. I'm one that I like small tables. Like if you want to create it in whatever spreadsheet software, you can do it and combine all these tables and have it however you want. I'm one that I need to have things small and right in front of me so that I can focus on what's going on. But there's so many creative ways that you can do this. But just so you know, you just want to focus on the activity or the process that you're expecting of your expected performance. As we mentioned earlier, I'll go back. As we mentioned previously, your SMART objective, right? And you give it a name, right? Employee satisfaction. That's your outcome. You're looking at employee satisfaction, understanding cultural change, all of that. That's your link. So that's what you're going to be focusing on. Your outcome performance, the outcome activity, the outcome process. What is it that you're looking to achieve? So whatever you're looking to achieve right here is what you need to focus on. Then you want to look at the expected performance and the actual performance. Then you want to look at the gap, and then you want to look at the solution to the gap, right? As we mentioned earlier, you need to make sure that everything is aligned. And once everything is aligned, you can justify the impact, right? You can justify the outcome. You can justify that change occurred. You can justify that the change that occurred was worthy, beneficial, and valuable. And if it's valuable, then it makes sense, it makes dollars, and you are a strategic partner. You have your seat at the table, and you're able to justify your initiative and gain buy-in for your initiative. So as I was saying, looking at the outcome, looking at the return on investment category, and then the dollar value. Linking that dollar value. Now we've linked employee feedback on psychological safety to a dollar value. You're able to give it a dollar value. Now, how did you give this dollar value? Employee feedback on psychological safety. So, 90% satisfaction resulted in stronger trust. So the category is employee satisfaction. So since the employees are satisfied, I think this one is linked to absenteeism. I think it is. Which contributes to absenteeism. Yeah. Because, yeah. Here it is, well-being. Because remember, satisfaction is, I gotta go back and change that. But it's supposed to be linked to well-being. But for now, we'll just leave it. These are just some dollar figures, just examples, so that you can see how we did this, right? Because as you can see for innovation, there was a 70% increase in innovation, resulting in 3 new ideas implemented. And those 3 ideas resulted in $75,000 in impact for the business. Turnover resulted in 6 fewer exits. Those exits ended up valuing at $43,750. So you're giving it a dollar value. All right. So now that you have your dollar value, right? Now you're going to need a return on investment calculator. Now you're going to need to justify how change has occurred. Now you're going to need to show that change occurred. So you're going to keep track. You're going to align everything up to conduct your return on investment. And you can link this spreadsheet, create your own dashboard and, have your charts and things like that. There's so many things that you can do. These are just examples and helping you to justify and showcase your information. Now, I'm keeping it simple by only showing the dollars. I'm not showing charts and things like that. I'm pretty sure everyone knows how to use Excel, or shoot, even chat. You could put it up in ChatGPT and it can give you some dashboards and charts and things. So there's so many different ways to tell your story. I forgot what it's called. Looker. You could using Looker. Looker's another one, or Power BI. There's so many different ones. IBM Cognos. I really like Cognos. It's very streamlined and easy to use. So it's a great way to implement all these. And how did we get here? So you're basically going to be looking at the expected dollar value, the actual dollar value, the monetary benefit, the total cost. So these are all the values that you determine and calculated, right? And from there, you're going to calculate your return on investment. All right, so overall, all of that information broken down, basically the psychological safety training resulted in an 85% in satisfaction and positive feedback, contributing to $40,000 in monetary benefits. An 80% pass rate contributed to $15,000, 14% improvement in engagement, 60% increase in innovation, 40% improvement in well-being, resulting in $50,000. 25% reduction in turnover, producing a savings of $43,750. 10% increase in revenue, resulting in $20,000 in financial gain. Enhanced well-being was valued at $50,000 in productivity and reduced absenteeism. And positive employee experience and trust, resulting in increased trust, valued at $35,000. Totaling a monetary benefit of $293,750. So that's your total monetary benefit. I'm confused. Oh, okay. Hold on. I feel like something's wrong. I feel like something's wrong with the numbers that I have. So I'm going to stop again. So I feel like these numbers are wrong. It's getting on my nerves. All right, I'm gonna come off of here. I feel like nobody's on here. Bye.